So what type of camera equipment do you really need to film outdoor content? You've taken the leap and you've decided you're going to start an outdoor channel, whether that be hunting or fishing. And now, how are we going to get those videos loaded up to YouTube? When you start researching camera equipment, it can be mind-boggling the amount of equipment that you'll start researching, and it can be a very daunting task. One of the most simplest cameras that you can use, you probably already have, and that is your phone. As someone who records outdoor content, myself, hunting and fishing, I use my cell phone a lot of the times. Newer cell phones especially. This one here is an iPhone 14 Pro Max, and as long as you're not trying to zoom really long distance, you're going to get really good video with 3 cameras on the back. And I use my iPhone for a lot of my thumbnails and a lot of B-roll footage half the time. So, right now I'm filming on a DJI Osmo Pocket 3. That's my standalone camera that I normally do all of my videos like this with. And then when I'm out in the field, I use a lot of action cams to get those action shots. But you don't need all of that to get started. Your cell phone, that is all you need to get started. Now, if you're going to start out with a cell phone, my suggestion is to get you a mic. And you can find, mics like this. This is a DJI mic. And you can go on Amazon, TikTok shop, and find good lavender mics or Bluetooth mics that you can link with your cell phone. And those will work just as good, especially if you're doing hunting content. A lot of times you're going to have to be whispering and you can't talk loud. And when you start lowering your voice, you're not going to be able to pick that up really good on your cell phone camera. And last thing you want is to have a whispering going on and it be really low volume and someone turn their TV up to try to hear you. And then there's a loud sequence. You're going to run your viewers off real quick. So if you're going to start out with your phone, then make sure you get a good mic. Like I said, you can get those pretty inexpensive, and that'll help your audio quality when you're doing your videos. Now, when I first started my YouTube videos, this was back in 2024, I think I had an iPhone 11 or 12, and I knew absolutely nothing about filming. I just stuck up a camera, and you can go back and look at my first video. It's titled I Am the Outdoor Amputee. And I literally just threw a camera up, started talking. I had no clue what I was doing or what I even really needed. And as time has progressed, I've kind of learned a little bit more about filming and some cameras to use to get better shots. But I had a GoPro Hero 9, and my son used this for motocross, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to start taking this thing with me when I start doing my fishing and hunting. And it served its purpose. It worked. I was able to get good 1080p and 4K footage. The problem I run into with the GoPro Hero 9 is the overheating issue in the summer. And if you've ever owned a GoPros and you're recording for a long period of time, and if it's hot and humid, the batteries are going to get hot, and then a lot of times your GoPro just locks up. And if you're fishing and you're just going at it and not being mindful of your camera, you could miss those action shots because your camera is just sitting there frozen up or it's turned off and you're not even getting your footage. So once I decided I wanted to upgrade from the GoPro, I really looked at the DJI products and I went with the DJI Action 5. And to me, these cameras have been really good. 4K, you can do 30 frames per second, 60 frames per second. So if you're wanting those slow-mo shots, you've got the ability to film in 60 frames per second, which makes your slow-mo footage really smooth. Most of the time, I'm just recording on 30 frames per second. So I just started out with one DJI camera, and then I upgraded to the DJI mic, and that's what I wore when I first started kayak fishing. And from there, I upgraded and got another DJI Action 5 camera, and that's so I could get different angles. A lot of times I'll wear a chest mount or a hat mount, and I'll have a first person point of view, and then I've got the other camera standalone, either mounted on the side of the kayak or the back. And then sometimes for some cool footage, I've got a waterproof case, and on a catch and release, I'll drop it down underwater and get some of that underwater footage of catch and release, which is pretty cool. Don't do that all the time, but occasionally it's nice just to have a little bit of different footage. So for my action cam stuff, that's primarily what I'm using right now is two DJI Action 5s, and I've got one mic that's dedicated to my main camera, and I have spare batteries. So I've got 3 additional batteries, and I also got a power bank that I use that I can hook up my camera. So if I'm going to do that and film longer footage sessions, then I just pop the battery out and I will hook it directly into a power bank, USB-C power bank here, and that'll let me just continuously record without having to worry about the batteries running down. And then on my main camera that I'm using, if the battery gets low, I'll just grab my bag and then I'll just pop a new battery in. So it's very good and important to have extra batteries. Now, when you're talking about getting footage, with your cell phone or your action cam, a lot of times you need a mainstay. It is not important that you have this, but when you're going to start investing money and you really want to get good footage, then you're going to need a camera that is going to be your record all everything camera for the, like hunting. And I've got a Panasonic, this is a FZ300, and by no means is this camera like one of the top of the line. I think when I got this camera, it was on sale for $500, but it has a dedicated lens that's built in, and it's got good zoom capabilities on it. So this one will take pictures. It'll also do 4K video, 30 frames per second, 60 frames per second. So when I'm hunting, I've got this set up on a tripod, and I've attached a wind mic to it, and it's got a spot here where you can screw one in on the top, and it just hooks into the side. And on windy days, especially, when you're hunting, you're going to have wind. That helps knock a lot of that wind noise down, so your audio is really good. And the good thing about this is a lot of times this will pick up really good audio when you're talking. It's even picked me up when I'm whispering. But for hunting, when I've got deer that I'm recording, I can get really zoomed up on these deer and take really good high definition video. The one thing I will say is, when you start looking at cameras like this, you got to look at your sensors and your low lights. When you're starting out and you're on a budget, it's very easy to go to Amazon and you see those 4K cameras that they have for $39, $49, $59. Yes, you can get by with footage like that, but I will warn you, the low light on those and the stabilization on those cameras are not that great. And I get it, you're starting out, so you're going to get what you can afford, and there is nothing wrong with that. So by all means, If that is what your budget is, start right there. But eventually you'll want to work up to getting something like this. And if you look at, DLSR cameras like this that record, they can cost $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, and you're actually getting what you pay for. Those cameras are really good in low light. The zoom on those are great. The image and picture quality is phenomenal. So that old saying, you get what you pay for, that is true in the cameras. Now, by no means is this something that you need to start filming hunts. This is something that I wanted for when I do long range shooting and some plinking and those special kill shots. Is I bought a scope mate, so I was going between this and the trigger cam, and I felt, from what I was reading, the scope mate was just a better option, and I opted for the one that had the screen on it. And the reason I like that one is when you turn it on and you hit the record button, you can see on the screen that it's recording. And it also has a zoom feature, so just by swiping up or down on the screen, you can zoom through that camera. So that's just an additional piece of equipment. Later on, once you get going and you're thinking about your footage and you're going after those kill shots, having that footage through the scope is really going to up your game. So when you're talking about just using the good old standard cell phone here, go to Amazon and get you a little power bank here. You can get these for practically nothing now, and just charge it up and clip it right here. If you got a mag phone case, it'll just go right on there. It'll charge it. If not, you can do USB-C to the Apple Lightning connector, Android, whatever you got. But have you a spare one or two of these? If you're going to be using your cell phone as one of your main cameras, you don't want your battery to deplete, especially if you're out in the hot sun or if you're in really cold weather. It is going to drain your battery a lot quick. So if you're strictly relying on your cell phone, you want to make sure you have backup battery that you can hook on there and charge it, so you're not going to lose that footage. Hey, while you're here, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Give the channel a follow. I really appreciate it. The one piece of advice I can give you is just work within your budget. You don't have to see all these other creators, what they're using, and automatically think, man, I got to have all that to make good content. I have seen phenomenal hunting and fishing videos that are completely shot with a cell phone. And a lot of that comes down to the editing. So when you're working on your videos, it's just in the colors and just working your video through a video editing software. So you do not have to break the bank starting out when you're getting into filming your content in the outdoors. Start out with what you can afford and just work up from there. That's exactly what I done. Like I said, I started out with just a simple iPhone, and from there I have just saved and budgeted to get the camera equipment that I need. And hopefully one day we will upgrade this one to one of the Sonys. That's really what I want for my hunting content. But for my fishing content, I find that my cell phone and my DJI action cams, those work really good for me. And for me, the footage has been phenomenal and the video qualities. And by no means am I a professional when I'm talking about this. I am still learning and I'm still having fun doing it. But if you have a question, just drop it in the comments below on any of the equipment, and I will be glad to try to help you as much as I can. One other piece of advice I can give you is if you're going to use your cell phone, check your storage. If you're filming longer sessions, the last thing you want is to be out and miss an important piece of footage because your cell phone storage is completely full from pictures and videos. So that's something you'll occasionally need to check. And a good rule of thumb is I move all my footage over to my laptop and I delete it off my phone. And then that way, if I need to go back, I can always pull it from my laptop if I need to make some shorts or use anything for B-roll footage in any of my videos. So just make sure periodically you're checking your storage because you don't want to miss those great shots. All right, I hope you find this video helpful. I appreciate you watching. Smash that subscribe button.